Good morning, Shaun Aquiline, and you are listening to CKCR, and we have on the phone with us the creator and the star of the popular Canadian series Corner Gas, Brent Butt. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking the time. I know you've got a long list of phone calls that you probably have to make today because of today's premiere, so I appreciate taking the time to call us here in small town Revelstoke.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, just shamelessly getting the word out about the premiere tonight.
Well, that's what you have to do. That's part and parcel of it. It's probably in the contract.
Yeah, it beats heavy lifting. I tell you, I've done both, and this is way better.
Way better. So I have some here, but some are just a little to the left, just to be a little different.
Sure, let's try it. And if I feel they're awkward or uncomfortable, I'll just fake static. I'll just go.
That's excellent. So, Brent, when the movie came out a few years back, did you...
See, I would just jump the gun there.
Did you think that it was the end of it? It had reached its pinnacle point?
Yeah, for me, when we did the movie, that was always going to be the cherry on top. You know, we did the 6 seasons, and then 5 years later, we came back with a theatrical film, and I thought this will be the icing on the cake. But the response to the film was much huger than any of us anticipated. You know, that we were physically selling out theaters, and Cineplex had to call CTV to see if they could get another week with the movie in theaters. So the response was just ridiculous. So that made the network come to us and say, listen, there's obviously still an appetite for the show. Would you be interested in doing more episodes? But we kind of didn't want to just go back and do more of the same. So we thought, well, if we were going to do more episodes, what could we do to give it a bit of a different angle? I have a background in cartooning, illustrating, so it was a pretty quick jump to get to how about animating?
Now, with animation, like you were saying, you can go so much further than live action based on limitations to, A, the human body, or what you can and can't explode. Now, with animating allowing you that ability, have you found that even though you can go so grandiose that you still have to make sure that you keep it within the wheelhouse of what the original theme of Corner Gas was?
Well, that's kind of what we did with the original show. You know, we didn't... The reason we created this device where we could pop into people's heads and see what they were imagining was because I didn't want to fracture our reality. I didn't want Dog River to step outside reality. But, you know, in the writer's room, we were coming up with jokes that were very funny, but they would do that. They would, if we did them, they would fracture our reality. So we created this device whereby you could pop into people's heads and see what they were imagining. But like you said, even then, you're kind of limited with what you can do in the real world. Now, in the animated world, we can take those little fantasy sequences that we always used to do in the live action show. We can just take them farther. So, you know, when Brent imagines who would win in a fight between a Sasquatch and a unicorn, you know, you actually get to see a bit of the fight.
With the cast members, you're located here in BC, but I know a handful of them live out east. Do you guys all meet up and go to the same studio to do it all sort of like as one piece to kind of have that connectivity that you guys had on the show?
Most of the cast lives in BC. I think 3 of the cast live in Ontario. You know, with animation, you do always have the option of people doing their parts independently, but we felt that, you know, there was some chemistry that these actors had when they were doing scenes with each other. It was kind of magic, you know, so we wanted to duplicate that. So we get into the studio at the same time. All the BC actors get into a Vancouver studio, and all the Toronto actors get into a Toronto studio. We're patched in live, so we're all acting in real time. So you can get that, you know, that same sense and that timing, that comedic timing that they always had.
Now, were all of the cast ready to dive back in, or was there anyone in particular that you had to give that extra nudge to, that extra phone call to?
No, it was just one call. We said, we're thinking of doing this. What would your thoughts be? And everybody to a person said, yeah, we would be on board. That sounds like a lot of fun. So, you know, it's always fun for us as the cast to get back together. We don't get to do it that often. You know, doing more episodes would mean uprooting for half the year again, like we used to do in the old days. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. We get to see each other every now and then and act out scenes. But, you know, a whole episode takes us about 4 hours to act it out now.
With the passing of Janet, was there any concern about someone else playing Emma? Was there ever a thought that maybe we wouldn't have Emma as a character, or was she always going to be included, just had to find that right voice?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do because we were pretty far down the road in development when Janet passed away. And I wanted to make sure that we did what Janet would want us to do. I was trying to think, what would she have wanted us to do? So I went and talked to Bruce, her husband, and he said emphatically, yes, Janet would want Emma to live on with the rest of the gang. She wouldn't want the gang to move on without Emma. So he kind of gave us his blessing there, but he also gave us a suggestion. He said, you know who would be good for this part? You should audition. Is a good friend of Janet's named Corinne Coslow. They used to do theater together, and she has a similar timbre to her voice. So we auditioned Corinne, and she was perfect. She just she's fit in like a glove, and it's a nice feeling to know that Emma is being played by a dear friend of Janet's who was recommended by her husband.
That is quite nice, actually.
Yeah.
So will there be any new characters introduced to this series?
There are some new locals, Dog River denizens that you didn't see in the original series, and also some of the original characters from the town of Dog River are back. So it's kind of a nice mix. Like Fitzy, the mayor, is there. Fitzy's grandma is there. But there are also some other characters that you see now and then. Because you need to have a cast of regular faces that you can use. You need to create characters and then have them in the little animation bank so you can pull them out as needed. So we had to create some characters.
Well, I certainly hope that you bring back Kiefer Sutherland for a quick scene.
I don't think we can afford him, you know. Doing really well for himself.
Corner Gas had an extremely good reach, and it even tapped a little bit into the United States. Are you finding that Corner Gas, this animated series, is probably going to dip into the United States market as well?
I hope so. We're working to make a deal with a U.S. broadcaster now, and we have a lot of people writing from the States and from the UK and Australia saying, you know, what are we going to be able to see the animated show? And we just keep telling them, hang tight, we're trying to make a deal. But yeah, we have a lot of fans from the States, overseas, that are hoping they get a chance to watch this show.
The final question I have for you is, do you believe in Sasquatch?
I believe there's a darn good possibility that such a thing could be meandering around. You know, people living in Revelstoke should know better than anybody the amount of untouched bush that's out there. I love the idea that there's a giant primordial primate wandering around undetected. But I hope we find it one day.
Brett, I have to say there's one fellow in town I have to do this for. He owns a company called Revelstoke Equipment Rentals. And when I moved here, I noticed he was wearing a faded green Corner Gas hat. One day, he came into the Rotary Club and he was wearing a brand new Corner Gas hat, nice dark green one. And I made the comment, I said, do you just have a closet full of those? You get rid of one and pull on the other? And he burst out laughing and he said, I do. I bought like 15 of them and they sit here. And when one fades out, I put this one on. When that fades out, I put on this one. So you've got a big fan base here. So Brett Renaud would be very happy to know that you've been chatting with us here in Revelstoke.
Well, it's been nice talking to you, and I love hearing stuff like that.
Brent, thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. I know you got a busy day ahead of promoting the show tonight. So Corner Gas, the animated series, is going to be premiering tonight, 8 p.m. on the Comedy Network. Correct?
That is correct, sir.
Awesome, Brent. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Nice talking to you.